Hello, my name is Farrah Lawal Harris. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the Artistic Director of Young Playwrights Theater in Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us for the final live workshop reading of the 7th draft of Mama Bushwick Is Dead by Elizabeth Shannon Ellis as part of our Young Playwrights in Progress series. Young Playwrights in Progress, or YPIP for short, is a season-long script development program where young, early career playwrights engage in a months-long revision and workshop reading process with YPT. For more information about the program, please visit the description below. Our Young Playwright in Progress, Elizabeth Shannon Ellis, hails from Frederick, Maryland. She is an actor, playwright, and a director. Elizabeth is a sophomore at Marymount Manhattan College, working to obtain her BFA in acting and her BA in writing for the stage. YPT's production team began our work with Elizabeth last season. At the time, her script was a 1 hour long, 1-act play. We met monthly for script advising and detailed feedback, and Elizabeth spent last summer working with the dramaturg, Joan Cummins. Now, a year later and 6 drafts later, Elizabeth has written a full-length play. Elizabeth, working with you over this last year was a wonderful experience that I look forward to every single month. Thank you for your commitment to your craft, your openness to learning, and for your willingness to trust your play with YPT. We are so proud of all the work you've done. Congratulations. I'd like to turn the floor over to you for any remarks that you'd like to make.
Hi, everyone. I have had an amazing time working with YPIP and YPT this past year. It's an incredible program that's given me so many tools for my future, and I can't wait to see what the future playwrights and projects have in store. I've gained so much insight regarding this script and playwriting in general, and have been honored to work with Farrah and Kita so closely, as well as so many talented actors who you'll get to see tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this show, engage with the material, and be a part of my developmental process. I look forward to sharing this with you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I'm proud to be joined by an ensemble of talented actors. Lindsay Williams will play Barb. Ariana Almajan will play Robin. Elle Sullivan will play Joyce. Felipe Cabezas will play Scott. Karen Novak will play Joe. And Fatima Kwander will be reading stage directions. And I will fill in for any actors in the event of technical difficulties. Whether you're joining us live or watching the replay, I encourage you to leave your thoughts and reactions in the comments section here on YouTube, or complete our feedback form, which is linked in the description below. Before we begin, please be advised that the play reading you're about to watch has the following content warnings: death of a parent and PG-13 level profanity. I would also like to note that this performance is happening live. It's not pre-recorded, and we ask that you forgive any technical issues that may arise. Also, there won't be an intermission. The runtime is approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes. Without further ado, we present Mama Bushwick Is Dead by Elizabeth Shannon Ellis.
Mama Bushwick Is Dead by Elizabeth Shannon Ellis. Characters: Barbara Barb Bailey, late 50s, early 60s, emotionally and physically exhausted. Robin Sander, late 50s, a woman of strong convictions, emotions, and persuasions. Joyce Jimenez, early to mid 50s, a bit shy and a people pleaser. She keeps everything to herself. Scott Bushwick, late 40s, early 50s, a bit of a bully, but has a kind heart. Joanna Jo Kirsch Bushwick, mid 40s, half sister, vibrant and almost youthful. The matriarch, Claudia Bushwick, deceased. Maiden name was Claudia Kirsch. Setting: the Midwest, over the course of a day, inside and outside of Claudia's messy duplex, late 2019. Act 1, Scene 1. Morning. Lights rise on the stage, broken into 2 sections of a house as well as a front stoop. Stage right is the basement. It features some old furniture, a coffee table, and an old computer sitting on another table, all of which is surrounded by knickknacks and clutter, and a globe. There is an abundance of dolls, ranging from porcelain to fabric, old to new, but the basement should not seem creepy. More than anything, the room looks sad and abandoned. Upstairs, there is a sparse living room with an outdated couch and coffee table, a dining table with items strewn all over it, many clear trays filled with candies, and lots of boxes. The couch is littered with doll clothing. A door to the outside can be seen upstage center, with one banister leading downstairs and the other leading upstairs. There are a few moments of silence for the audience to take the house in. We hear the sound of a door being unlocked, and Barb enters, holding a purse and lots of papers. She takes off her coat, hangs it up along with her purse, and then crosses to the couch and sits. She picks up some items of clothing.
Is this? No. It's for the dolls, of course.
Barb tosses the clothing aside. She spreads the papers out on the table, starting to skim them.
Assets and valuables. Benefits. Counts and subscriptions. How many of those did she have anyway? Bills. Debts. Taxes. Funeral. Cremation. Burial.
Barb slumps back in the chair. Maybe she wipes her eyes. She looks around at the house, taking it all in. Barb sees the trays of candy and slowly picks up a piece. Then she unwraps it, shoves the wrapper in her pocket, and puts it in her mouth. She glances back at the doll, then checks her watch before quickly reaching over for another piece of candy. As she unwraps it, the front door unlocks and opens. Scott enters and hangs his coat on the coat rack. Barb shoves the candy and wrapper into the side of the couch. She stands, straightening her clothes.
Have you heard from Joe? I thought she was supposed to be here.
Apparently some work thing came up. She texted me. I figured she'd shoot you one too.
Of course she didn't.
To be fair, you didn't text her yourself, waited to ask me instead.
When are Joyce and Robin supposed to get here? No. You don't read our group chat now, do you?
Not the one without Joe.
Robin's going to drop her stuff off at my place and then come over. And Joyce's flight landed a little while ago, but she's visiting some old friends right now.
Seriously?
And she made me pick her up at the airport, incapable of renting a car, I guess.
If she could have asked me, I would have gotten her.
She texted in the chat. Didn't think you'd respond, so I took one for the team.
Then you could have texted me.
Reaching into her purse on the coat rack and pulling out a pack of cigarettes.
No use.
You really back on that shit?
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
She exits through the front door and slams it behind her. Scott looks after her for a second, then shakes his head and rubs his eyes. He crosses to the boxes and items strewn on the dining room table. He begins to intently examine them one by one. The front door opens and Joe enters, dressed in a black coat with fur, looking vintage in a fashionable way. Scott gives her a nod and she crosses to him, kissing him on the cheek.
Did you see Barb?
Oh, hello to you too. Didn't know she took up smoking again.
Me neither. It took you a while to get here.
I know how it goes. Needed to finish a project, and the boss thinks I'm leaving too much. Yada, yada, yada.
Leave a lot?
Not really. And what does it matter? I get my work done. And hey, I'm here now. So what's the plan?
Yeah, well, we don't really have one.
Good thing it's a duplex. Not a lot of space to cover.
Maybe not, but she was basically a hoarder. As soon as I get home, I'm making my family clean our entire house. Better now than...
Yeah. Just tell me what to do.
Well, you know the place as much as me.
I don't think our siblings would appreciate me assigning myself a task. I mean, I try to be cooperative, but
Don't let them bother you. Don't give them the satisfaction.
it's kind of hard when I'm outnumbered. Mom was nice about it. If they were rude, she would shut them down right away. Like in elementary school when Robin started telling everyone how I had a different dad.
Actually, I was going to ask, have you heard from...
No, I'm not in contact with him. And I don't think he'd even care. Let's get going before Barb sees we've been doing nothing but talking. But before that, do you think there's any food left over?
Don't you think it's a little weird
Hmm?
to be, you know...
Nothing's wrong with the food. If someone doesn't eat it, it'll just get thrown out. Now that's a waste. Remember, don't leave any food on your plate or you don't get food tomorrow. That was the rule.
Studies have shown that it isn't beneficial.
Studies? Seriously? Nerd.
You don't even know how old the food is.
I've got a nose for a reason. And there's probably stuff in the freezer. Costco mac and cheese if I'm lucky.
Jo exits off stage and Scott looks after her. Jo re-enters with a frozen dish.
See? Jackpot. What?
It just feels wrong, invasive.
Newsflash. Everything we're doing is invasive. Partially because she refused to do it when she was alive. So this is the price she's gonna have to pay.
Have some sympathy.
No, I do. She was my mother too, but you can't get wrapped up in your feelings and ignore reality. Oh my God, what now?
Just be careful about what you say when the rest of them are here. I have bigger things to worry about than you all fighting.
You are always looking for ways to belittle me.
The unnecessary drama just adds to how miserable we all are. So just don't do things that'll piss them off.
Why am I in charge of their feelings? They're older. They should be looking out for me.
It doesn't matter if they're a few years older. We aren't kids anymore.
I can just say I made the green bean casserole and brought it with me.
Jo exits with the dish. Scott crosses to the couch and sits, taking in his surroundings and running his fingers over the couch. He sees the tray of candy and without hesitation takes one, shoving it in his mouth and the wrapper in his pocket. Barb enters, takes a deep breath, and crosses to Scott when she sees him.
Good talk?
Good smoke. How's it been going? The funeral stuff.
Don't know why I was put in charge. Why you put me in charge.
You're the oldest.
So?
Besides, I'm still helping. I'm giving the eulogy.
Yeah, actually about that.
Barb.
What?
Don't.
I haven't even touched the basement. It's too real. The upstairs always felt too formal. Like Mom was some old lady I was visiting but didn't really know. But the basement was homey. I knew where everything was. The order and name of every single doll on the shelves.
Barb's phone rings.
Maybe it's Robin. Nope. It's a funeral thing.
Barb exits. Scott takes out his phone and begins to type.
Claudia Bushwick was many things. A daughter, a sister, a mother, a grandmother. And I'm just listing family terms. She gave up a lot to raise us. When word got around that she had an affair, she lost all her friends. No one would talk to her. She got kicked out of the church, was forced to stop her involvement in her kids' school, Sacred Heart, not to mention her book club, knitting club, and cooking classes. She was shunned, truly. Almost everything she loved was gone, except for her kids. I remember when I was in elementary school and started picking out my outfits for school, she always had to intervene. This shirt doesn't go with these pants. You wore this color yesterday. There was never a dull day with her. But she got through everything that life threw her way and treated each one of us with undeniable and individual love. She let Joyce perform in the school talent show when she was a god-awful singer. Barb tried to talk her out of it, but Mom supported Joyce. I don't know how many people would do that. Hey, don't most parents do that? She treated Joanna like one of her own. God, Joanna is one of her own. Her dedication to her family was unmatched. She always wanted to do the best for us, even when we didn't necessarily want her to help. I remember when I was just out of college, she decided to...
Joe enters from the kitchen. Scott looks up.
Nice start. Could use some work,
I
but
didn't mean that you aren't.
it's fine. At least you don't participate in the second siblings group chat they've got going.
You know about that?
You told me.
I did not.
We'd been ditched by Barb. We were already there at Bill's beer garden. Had a few drinks. I mean, you had a few more than me. Must have said some things you don't remember.
I'm kidding.
No, but don't worry. Your secrets are safe with me.
Wait. What else did I say?
It just family stuff. Talked about our siblings, mom.
Oh, no.
You're pretty rude, actually.
You're not going to repeat any of it to anyone, right? Oh, my God. You can't be serious.
The door opens and Robin enters, wrapped up in a coat. She closes the door behind her and rubs her hands together for warmth. Scott crosses to Robin, giving her a hug. Joe awkwardly stays put.
Hey, Rob.
Good to see you, little bro. So, what are we doing? What can I help with?
I don't...
Well, I'm making breakfast.
That's not...
And Barb is on the phone handling funeral things.
She should be off soon, so...
There's work to be done on this floor, clearly, and the basement.
Oh, I can help with that.
The basement?
Why not?
No reason.
But I do need to talk to Barb at some point. We need to get the eulogy stuff worked out.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I thought you were giving the eulogy.
Can't more than one person speak?
Well...
I want to speak.
I'm gonna go check on the...
Joe exits. Mini standoff between Scott and Robin.
I know we aren't all going to speak, but you aren't the only one who wants to. She wasn't just your mother.
Yeah, I know that.
Do you?
You can give a toast at the lunch after...
That isn't the same.
Now is not the time to be selfish, Robin.
What gives you priority? Why do you think you deserve it? Just because you called it first? This isn't dibs or shotgun. We aren't kids anymore.
Let's just wait until everyone gets here.
You know it'll turn into a fight. When you saw Joe, she practically ran off.
We should still wait. Maybe one of the others also wants to speak.
Well, we could have another contest, like when we were kids. Whoever writes the best eulogy wins.
Didn't you just say we're supposed to be acting like adults?
You are just jealous because I beat you in that grade school writing competition.
My essay was better. And if I do say so myself, very advanced for my age.
Oh, it was not.
You were in like the 8th grade. I was a 2nd grader. You couldn't have written what I wrote when you were in 2nd grade.
Doesn't matter. A 7th grader or an 8th grader always won. I don't know why you even bothered entering.
Because my piece was good.
Not good enough to win.
Barb enters. Scott and Robin both snap out of their fight like bickering siblings when a parent walks in. They look slightly ashamed.
Fighting about a stupid grade school prize, huh? Seriously?
Sorry.
It's like neither of you ever grew up.
Actually, we were talking about the funeral, the eulogy.
Hold off on that till Joyce gets in. Now, let's get started with the boxes up here.
Scott and Robin make their way to the boxes. Barb hangs back a second.
Why do I always have to be in charge of everything?
Blackout. Act 1, Scene 2. A little while later, Scott is upstairs sitting on the couch. He holds his phone in his hands and eyes in the direction of the basement warily. Robin is walking around and examining things in the dimly lit basement. Joe enters from the kitchen.
Should I start on lunch?
Do you do anything other than cook?
What's wrong with cooking?
It's not cleaning.
Oh.
Not in... I don't mean that in like a sexist way. Just that we're all here to clean.
I'm helping in my own way.
Well, I hate to destroy your plans of evading actual work with your siblings, but I was thinking about ordering takeout. However, you doctored up the casserole earlier made it palatable, but it certainly wasn't good.
No, Mom hated takeout.
No, I'll have it delivered.
No, that's God, you're so
Scott walks away from Joe and into the kitchen.
hypocritical. I thought you cared what Mom wanted.
Barb and Joyce enter through the front door. Joyce is wearing a fancy coat and has her hair styled nicely. They both take their coats off and hang them on the coat rack. Robin hears them and goes to the living room to greet them.
How was the flight?
Joyce crosses to the couch and sits.
Shitty. It kept getting delayed. Apparently, there was some big storm over Colorado, and it refused to move out of our way.
She reaches for the candy bowl, grabs a piece, and unwraps it.
It's just a perfect way to start this already so fun trip.
And I was sitting in front of my computer for hours refreshing the page about her flight. And I didn't even need to. Apparently, Charlotte had agreed to pick her up from the airport so I could sleep in. And instead, I just had to run over and pick her up from their little group mani-pedi appointment. I always liked Charlotte. At least someone's thinking about what I'm dealing with.
Glad to see you're both in a good mood.
It just would have been nice if Joyce could have remembered to text me.
At least we're all here now. Except, where's Scott?
Kitchen.
Cleaning, I hope.
Not.
He's getting
What?
takeout delivered. I mean, I was willing to cook, but
Where's he getting it from?
He's just trying to keep himself busy.
Funny, because he still hasn't managed to do anything. I made lists for
You never said
everyone,
you had
to trust,
lists.
but no one seems to care.
I guess everyone handles this differently.
yeah,
but
he loves to act like an alpha male.
Now, don't you start complaining.
You were complaining a second ago.
Don't worry, you'll have more chances to cook Mom's shitty frozen meals.
Barb,
What?
I've been here for, 5 minutes. Can we try to keep it together? This trip of all trips.
We don't have Mom to yell at us and keep us in line.
I'm happy to take on that responsibility.
You're just as much of a bitch as the rest of us. The apple didn't fall too far from the tree.
a Great Wall. He's getting food from Great Wall.
Oh, good. I like them. And he's ordering General Tso's, yeah?
Of course.
Any progress on the wake or funeral?
Scott
I
enters.
I took care of it. We just need to sort out the pallbearers and the speeches.
Everyone looks at Scott. Awkward silence. Blackout. Act 1, Scene 3. The 5 siblings enter the dining room. The dining table has 6 chairs, 5 of them covered in stuff. Scott has bags of takeout.
I can get some plates.
Joyce exits to the kitchen. Everyone clears things off the remaining 5 chairs. They start opening the takeout containers, sorting them, etc. Joyce re-enters with plates.
What took you so long?
I couldn't find them. When did she redo everything and why?
That was at least 5 years ago.
She was probably bored.
I don't know where anything is anymore. I didn't think we'd do it.
Do what?
Sit in our old seats.
Where else would we sit?
Just, it seems so empty now. Even when we went off to college, she was always in her chair at the head of the table. It was the one constant. I liked being able to count on that, even when she was annoying.
Do you want to move? Has anyone started cleaning out their old bedrooms? Joyce, I started with ours. Robin? Joe?
I haven't even been in there since I got back.
I tried, but it's impossible to start cleaning it without going through every single box, and I don't have time right now. There was one box that was filled with old newspapers, and I went to throw it out, but figured I should look through it just to be safe, and I found her passport. I can't even imagine what's in the other boxes.
Of course she wouldn't make it easy for us. You think she'd at least put all of the important documents in one place?
She probably just forgot about her passport. I think the last time she went out of the country was in 2003.
I can help with your room if you want.
Whatever. Thanks.
Scott, what about you?
He's been busy.
Sure he has.
I take it Debbie isn't flying out?
Too short notice. What funeral isn't? She said she had some work thing. Can't blame her.
Yeah, I gave Violet and Jackson the choice, but neither wanted to come. She wasn't exactly warm towards them. Maybe if she saw them more, but flights are expensive. The kids have school. Gloria has work.
Wait, Scott, Denise isn't coming, right?
Why would she?
Well, I mean, he and Denise were married for 20 years, and she and Mom were close in a weird way.
He told her she could come if she wanted, but she declined. Would have just been awkward anyway.
Are the kids coming?
Mm-hmm. At least Scott's kids will be there. But they don't want to go.
Why not? They actually saw Mom a decent amount.
Exactly.
Well, it was still Mom. She was...
A lot.
I mean, I know he loved her and she's great, but Mom wasn't the warm and fuzzy grandma that baked cookies and spent every weekend with his kids or any of our kids or showered them with gifts. And you know what? We can give them all the shit left here. She had a lot more than she let on.
I don't think tacky antique furniture is a great present for teenagers.
Tacky. God, that's her, right? Honestly, it feels like an understatement.
Really? I think temperamental is a better word.
There are a lot of words you could use.
You know, I'm grateful for her. For real. I don't know if she was resentful of me. I could have had a really awful time growing up. She made sure I knew I was loved. Maybe not you all, but my life could have been a lot worse.
She did something you never saw women do, at least back then. A single mom, 4 kids with one guy and the 5th with another. She was dedicated and filled with so much love towards us, even when no one showed any back to her.
Damn, Joyce. Sure you don't want to write the eulogy? What? I say something wrong?
I don't want to write the eulogy.
Good, we should talk about that. But I want to give it.
Clearly.
So do I. I'm older.
I'm your only son.
Just because she has more than one daughter doesn't make me replaceable.
Just because I've been on this earth a few less years than you doesn't make you any better either.
We can't just have 2 eulogies.
Have you even read her will? Of course you haven't. She was very clear. One eulogy given by one of her kids.
Like she was trying to fuck us over. One of her final wishes was something she just knew would cause a bunch of drama.
Everyone sits in an awkward silence before slowly turning their heads to Barb.
What?
You're planning the funeral. You decide.
That's not...
You're the oldest. You take the lead on this.
You all are functioning adults. Don't pin this on me. Look, I don't care which one of you gives the eulogy. So fight it out. Do whatever. And get back to me. I'll be outside.
She starts to walk towards the front door.
But why don't you care, Barb? She was your mother too. You should care.
Barb turns back, deciding whether or not to take the bait. She does.
Don't tell me how to feel. Yeah, she was my mother. She was a lot of other things too. And she was wonderful sometimes. And sometimes I practically raised you all on my own. And she was temperamental and judgy and old-fashioned. And I have enough things to care about. No one stepped up to plan this goddamn thing, and a good share of it is coming out of my bank account because, whether you knew it or not, she was a hoarder who died penniless, clinging to everything she had, refusing to let it go until it killed her. Until she slipped on a magazine or whatever it was and fell and hit her head. But I'm here planning a service all about her life, and I haven't even had time to process what's happened while also being here in her old house, the place she died, desperately trying to clean it out with my siblings who are refusing to do any work because in the back of their minds, they know I'll pick up after them. And guess what? I won't. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm here. I've been here doing my part while the rest of you argue and bicker endlessly about something that doesn't even matter in the long run. Give a speech at a funeral, one of you, and the other can give theirs at the reception. No one is going to think less of one speech. Chances are everyone will be too conflicted in their own feelings about Mom that they won't pay any attention to any of you. You're grown adults. Stop begging for Mommy's attention one last time. Get over yourself.
She turns to walk away.
Weren't you supposed to visit her that day?
Barb stops in her tracks.
What?
It was a Friday when she died. Friday was your day to visit. Joe and I both visited her on our days of the week. We saw her that week for the last time, but you didn't. What, was work too long? You were too tired to see her mother?
I left her a voicemail that I'd be late. I still showed.
And why were you late?
It was Friday. Some coworkers were going out for drinks, and they always invite me. And I can never go because Friday is my day with Mom. But I thought, just this once, I can be a little late seeing Mom. I didn't even get anything to drink. Just sat there and laughed with my coworkers. Wasn't the mean boss for once. I told her I'd be late. I figured she wouldn't mind. She knew work was important to me. And so I pulled into her driveway at 7 instead of 5:30. And I knocked on the door. And she didn't answer. I knocked again. Nothing. So I decided to let myself in. And she was laying there in a perfect macabre view at the bottom of the basement stairs. I don't even know why she was going down there. She never did. I called 911, but I knew.
What if...
No, Scott, no. I don't want to hear it. I know what you're going to say. What if I'd been there earlier? What if she hadn't gone down there, or I could have helped her, or even arrived sooner and maybe she would be hurt but still alive? You think I haven't thought of those things? You think those thoughts haven't taken up every single moment of my life every single day, even when I'm asleep? No, you aren't thinking about me. You aren't thinking about anyone but yourself. It was her time to go. And I'm not saying I wanted it to happen. Of course not. But she was done with this world.
Barb wipes her eyes, turns, and walks to the front door. She grabs her bag off the coat rack and exits. The front door slams shut. Robin, Joe, and Joyce glare at Scott. Blackout. Act 1, Scene 4. The stoop of the house. Barb is sitting, smoking a cigarette, and on a call. Joe quietly enters outside through the front door of the house, listening.
No. I know you said lilies earlier, and I'm sorry I didn't. Yes, I understand. Yes, I understand that. I just think you should be able to. I'm sorry I wasn't quite in the right headspace while I was making preparations for my mother's funeral. She would want chrysanthemums. No, lavender lilies won't cut it.
Barb stands and begins pacing, still not seeing Joe.
Yes, my emotions are. Well, what did you expect? I am. I'm not screaming or being. Yes. Okay, fine. Yes. Yes, that's the correct number. And you'll call back within the hour? Just as soon as you can. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Barb hangs up.
You sound like her. Sorry.
How long have you been standing there? It's just you always do that. I don't know why I'm still not used to it.
It's been a while.
You're a quiet walker.
I didn't want to disturb you.
Need a cowbell or something. So did you need something? Or is there a problem? There's a problem, isn't there? It's Robin Scott again. Or with her bedroom, or is there stuff I missed?
No, Barb.
Yes?
Just stop.
Reaching out and gently grabbing Barb's shoulders.
Stop moving.
I can't. Nothing is how it's supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to happen like this at all. It's not like how she would have wanted it. I don't want her to be pissed at me wherever she is. The funeral is soon, and there's so much I need to get in order and so much mess. And
first of all, I don't think Mom has any ground to stand on to be pissed at you if her ceremony is a little bit messy. Have you seen how she lived? No, I mean it. Don't set expectations for yourself on her behalf that she couldn't even live up to. And the house isn't disappearing. It'll be here. It'll wait for you. We'll get everything sorted out eventually.
We'll have to pay.
We have the money to. You don't have to pay for everything.
And that's just another reason Mom would be disappointed. She hated wasting money. So we have to keep going. I have to keep going.
Why?
Because if I stop.
Barb sighs shakily. Joe puts a hand on Barb's shoulder to comfort her. They breathe and both sit on the stoop.
Thank you. And thank you for staying and helping and just being here. I always thought you'd move away and never look back. What?
Why did you think that?
Just because.
Because no matter how much you deny it, you know that you and the rest of our siblings intentionally make me feel unwelcome?
I just wanted to say thank you for sticking around.
Right.
And for helping. Now, Robin and Joyce have been useless.
Don't say that.
It's true. They expect us, the ones who stayed, to clean up all their messes.
They're just getting the lay of the land. They'll find some way to be useful.
It feels unbalanced.
You didn't have to stay.
What?
You could have moved away.
I need to be here for...
It's not fair of you to judge Rob and Joyce for doing something you didn't have the courage to do.
Don't say that.
You basically lived your life for Mom. You were a caretaker, and now she's gone, and you feel like you have no purpose, so you're overcompensating. And
stop it.
You need to learn to...
Stop, Joanna.
Jeez, I haven't heard that name in a while. I'm sorry if that was too much. I didn't mean... Diplomacy's never been my thing. Would you say that you live your life for you or for other people?
You can't live for yourself.
Why not?
It's selfish. It's a sin.
I don't think...
If people lived for themselves, then we'd have no charity, no support.
But it's your life. You have to do what you want to do.
Mom didn't live for herself. She lived for us.
And she still did and said things that were wrong.
So imagine what she would have done if she had lived for herself.
Actually, I think that's part of the reason she was so controversial. You could say it's because she was forced to live for others. Like, some people live for others because they love giving, they love helping, they love caring. Living for others is essentially them living for themselves. They get great joy and fulfillment out of surrendering themselves for others. But other people, Mom and, well, maybe you, they feel obligated to live for others. It's a task, a chore. It fills them with resentment and chaos. It's okay to be selfish, Barb. It's okay to step back sometimes and force other people to pick up weight they haven't been carrying. But you can't just keep carrying the weight and then resent them for not seeing what you need.
I don't
have kids, but I wouldn't want them to think I spent my whole life resentful when that doesn't have to be the case.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe not. I found some photo albums earlier. They're sitting on Mom's bed. You should go look at them.
I have to get back to work.
I'm going to start loading up the car for Goodwill. You can take a break. Go sit. Look.
Thank you.
Barb takes one last look at Joe as she exits. Joe takes a moment for herself on the stoop, then exits, ready to get back to work. Blackout. Act 1, Scene 5. Lights rise on Robin in the living room. She has 3 trash bags in front of her, as well as 2 boxes, and is sorting things from the boxes into the trash bags. Joe enters from the front door.
I could use some help.
Oh, sure.
Joe crosses to Robin. Robin points at the trash bags.
This one is for the important stuff, like documents. This one is for sentimental stuff. And this giant one is for the junk.
Joe nods. They begin sorting. Robin holds up a make-your-own candle kit.
What is...
Some DIY candle project? She's always fell for those as seen on TV things.
That's a little pathetic.
She was lonely. Maybe you could have visited more.
Robin rolls her eyes and puts the kit in the junk bag. They continue sorting.
God, this is...
The most boring thing in the world?
I mean, I don't know. There are worse things than seeing all this stuff from ages ago.
Good to know you're the one who enabled Mom's hoarding.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Wow, this is from... You're kidding. This is from Barb's birthday. I gotta save this and show it to her.
Robin takes the newspaper and puts it in the junk bag.
She can look it up in some internet archive if she wants.
Robin continues sorting. Joe looks at her, then also resumes sorting.
Do you know why she did it? Kept all this stuff? Was she always like this?
Yeah. But it got worse after you were born.
Oh.
I think it was always in her growing up during the Depression and all. You know, she was one of those kids who wore flour sack dresses. But when my dad left, it got worse. And then you went to college and she was all alone.
So it's all my fault.
I didn't say that.
They continue sorting. Long moment.
Why?
What?
Why do you hate me?
I don't.
I know that you do. Or at least that you have a problem with me. And I know maybe the rest of our siblings aren't the fondest of me either, for reasons that aren't my fault. But you, it's different. It's another level. I get that you're upset about your dad.
Don't bring my dad into this.
It's about time you realize I am not your enemy. Do you think things were easy for me growing up, being such a clear indicator of what broke our parents up?
I don't know about all that, but I don't hate you, Joe.
No? The second group chat, the snide comments, all the things Mom would tell me you said to her over the phone?
She just liked pitting us against each other. You know that.
No. She would protect me.
I guarantee she made up half the things she told you. This is what siblings are like, right? We bicker, we fight,
It doesn't feel like that to me. It's more.
I love you, Joe. I do.
I'm telling you that it doesn't feel that way.
You're acting like a high schooler.
You aren't listening to me. A lot of the time, Mom was my biggest supporter. But you live your life trying to make me feel as small as possible, as weak and insufficient as you can.
I know I wasn't the best older sister when we were kids, but that's behind us now.
Then why for the past couple years have you been hounding Mom about the fact that I'm not married?
I haven't.
I bet she's incapable of having an actual long-term relationship. It's like she still hasn't grown up. I don't think she'll ever be able to find someone that wasn't even the worst of it.
Mom said she wouldn't repeat those things. Gosh, she was fucking playing favorites.
You are so delusional.
You don't get to call me names.
Like you've been doing to me my whole life? I'm so tired of having to be the chill one. All of you give me shit constantly, and today has been no exception. And I stuck around. I stayed in contact for Mom because she really loved me. Because even if you refuse to see it, she loved all her children so much. And I should be crying right now. I should be bawling my eyes out because my mother just died. But instead, I have to pull myself together at the expense of my sanity so that I don't give you or the rest of them ammunition to dislike me. I want to curl up in my bed and cry. I want to look at pictures of Mom. I want to hold her close so I can smell her again. But then Barb and Scott and you and maybe even Joyce would have a problem with it. Would say I'm not productive, would say I'm not doing enough for the family. I'm too angry or hostile or ungrateful. It's as if somehow my grief doesn't matter as much. She was unhappy and she took it out on us. And that isn't fair. But you were her pride and joy. I bet you don't know who her neighbors are. You're barely even here and they know about you because she loved you so much, so fiercely, and we were her favorite thing to talk about. And now she's gone. She's fucking gone, and I don't have a reason to stick around anymore. I have had to spend my whole life pulling myself back, being kind and gracious, which must be some double recessive trait. But if you aren't careful, I'll show you how I can be just as catty and scathing as the rest of the Bushwicks. If you don't come to your senses and realize that I am your flesh and blood, that I deserve a place in this family as much as the rest of you, then I don't care. I'll leave. I'll move away and I will never come back. Please, Robin, grow up.
Joe grabs the newspaper from Barb's birthday and exits into the kitchen. Robin stays standing and looks after her for a few moments, then grabs the bags they were sorting and goes into the basement. Act 1, Scene 6. Immediately after. Warm lights rise on Scott in the basement, surveying the room. Robin enters with the trash bags, heading in the direction of the garage. She dumps the bags off and then returns to the main room where Scott is.
Hey, Rob.
Hey. I didn't know it had been finalized.
What?
The divorce.
Oh. I thought you knew. I thought I told everybody.
never got a call.
I'm sorry?
It's okay. Did mom know?
Yeah. She was the first person I told about everything.
Of course she was.
Yeah, and she was really supportive.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it took her a few days to process. She treated Denise like her very own daughter, loved her so much. So they stayed in touch, I think. Not very often, but
That's weird.
no, it wasn't. It was nice, actually. Mom needed the connection, and
Scott, you can say it's weird. You can think it was pushing a boundary or disrespectful or.
I don't think any of that.
Yeah, but you can. We know you love her. Trust us. We do. The universe knows. Mom knows wherever she is now. But not everything has to be perfect.
I really didn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I mean, at least Denise called her, checked in, unlike some other.
I've been busy.
Yeah, she was your mother.
Yes, but work was stressful and I really didn't want to spend my free time bickering with her over the phone.
You still should have.
I know. You could have texted me or called. If you had reached out, then.
Well, you would have ignored that too. You're too stubborn, Robin. You wouldn't have cared.
Don't say that.
You should have visited more.
I.
And don't say you were too busy or didn't have the money. You don't have any kids, Robin. You should have been the one to step up for mom.
I know you're just trying to make me feel shitty, Scott, because if you actually cared about my relationship with mom, you would have said something before she died. You just have this compulsive need to be right, to be better. God, you haven't grown out of anything. Do you ever miss it? The friendly competition? The scheming and feuding, being a hero and a villain and a sidekick to each other all at once. Because, yeah, I won the writing competition, and yeah, you're always better at public speaking, and no, neither of us got into Ivies and bullied each other for it, but at the end of the day, we were a team. Have you just replaced that part of our relationship with someone else? And now I'm just the enemy?
I never said you were the enemy, Rob.
Right. I'm just crazy.
I didn't say that either. I just think because of Joe and...
I'm not talking about Joe.
But you can't ignore her. I can't pretend like the way you treat our sister doesn't affect us too.
I don't treat her a certain way.
You ignore her.
Oh, I do not. You're just listening to the lies mom told you. I want us to be close again. I do. I was hoping this would bring us together, you know? Grief can do that. And I miss things. Us. Our family. But everything with the eulogy and I don't know. I thought things would be different. Better.
Robin sighs and puts her head in her hands. After a moment of composing herself, Robin crosses to the globe and spins it, trailing her fingers across it and noting where her finger lands before starting again. Scott watches her, unsure of what to say. He goes back to looking around the room. Moment.
So many dolls.
I like them.
Scott and Robin inspect the dolls on the bookshelves and touch them.
They look expensive. And maybe we can make some money selling them.
I'm sure we could. They're in perfect condition.
They creep me out. Like how they could shatter any second.
Well, that's why they're so high up. So our grandkids wouldn't knock them over or play with them.
And what's the point of having so many if they never get any use?
She liked how they looked.
She never even came down here.
She used to. How what does it matter anyway? They aren't hurting anyone.
It's just another thing we'll fight over, except this time it's something we don't want to be burdened with.
God, Mom would have loved to see that. She loved stirring shit up. Even in her will. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Excuse me?
Robin shrugs. Through the following exchange, Scott and Robin both begin sorting the clutter into boxes.
Now let me get a box.
Bring a couple.
Robin exits and reappears with a few cardboard boxes. She lays them down between her and Scott as if preparing for a battle. They start to move around the room and sort. There is a moment of silence.
I just don't get why you're being so stubborn about this. Not even stubborn, maybe entitled is a better word. I am not trying to start a fight, but that's what it is. Entitlement. We both want this. Why should you automatically get it?
I just assumed I would. I'm the writer of the family, the humanitarian, a journalist. Writing is what I do.
You don't write obits.
Well, obits aren't eulogies, so let's just each write our own and make the others vote on it. We can even make it anonymous. Best eulogy wins.
I was joking when I said that earlier. But we don't have time. The funeral's in 2 days.
But I'm offering a compromise.
Some silence. They continue cleaning.
Can you start getting the stuff on the top shelf? I can't reach them.
Yeah. Do you mind going through this box and making sure I didn't confuse any of the expensive dolls with the kids' toys?
Robin nods. They switch places and continue cleaning. Robin holds up a fragile, antique doll.
Seriously? You thought this was a toy?
Well, it's got the little stand and a book, it looks like, and some other props. Like the what are they called? American Girl.
American Girl? Yeah, right. Those are made of plastic and stuffing. I'm surprised it didn't break in the box.
Robin dusts the doll off with her hand.
It kind of looks like Barb.
I don't see it.
I feel bad. She was the only one. Not that I wanted to find, but she's all alone. I don't think I could ever unsee Mom like that. You should go easy on her.
You're one to talk.
What?
I don't think I've ever seen you go easy on a member of our family in your entire life.
Robin gives a small nod and turns her attention back to the doll.
I like her.
You can keep her.
More silence. Robin holds the doll for a moment, then carefully places it on the coffee table.
They're so fragile. And maybe that's what she liked about them.
They were something she could care for without getting mad at. Wouldn't talk back, or stand up for itself, or call her out, or
Maybe she had a bit of maternal energy left and she needed an outlet. She always said that owning a doll is like being a mother.
she practically abandoned them down here when using the stairs got too difficult.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it abandonment. Maybe she really wanted to see them. She just couldn't. Maybe that broke her heart.
Well, then she could have asked you, or Barb, or even Joe to move them upstairs on one of your visits.
Yeah, she didn't like giving us a lot of chores. No, seriously, if I tried to clean things up, even unload the dishwasher, she made me stop. It was really sweet. And she was like that when we were younger too, remember? If I spent more than 30 minutes on chores in grade school, she'd make me stop and go play outside with little Richie Williams.
I'll take your deal.
What?
About the eulogy. May the best writer win.
Scott takes her hand and shakes it. There is a brief pause while they both go back to sorting. The tension has temporarily been lifted.
Look, why do you want to give it so bad? You don't exactly seem to be bursting with warm, fuzzy memories.
I have a lot to say about Mom. She was a complicated person, and I want to do that justice.
And you think I won't?
Honestly, no. I think people just gloss over or forget the bad stuff during eulogies, and that isn't right.
Well, it's not. It's supposed to be a celebration.
But what about us? We deserve closure.
You can get closure a bunch of ways. Her funeral isn't one of them.
Maybe not for you.
You think publicly bashing the woman who gave birth to and raised you is closure?
It's not publicly bashing.
You're just looking for another way to screw her over. She's never been perfect enough for you.
I didn't expect her to be perfect, but I expected her to be accountable. And she wasn't. She simply wasn't. She was petty and rude. And remember that time that she tried to shit talk me to you all? Like she was a fucking high schooler, my own sibling. She tried to turn you all against me, made up lies about how I hated Joe and was a disgrace to the family name, and God, all her expectations. She was only interested in seeing the aspects of us that lined up with who she thought she should be. Even if I expected her to be perfect, it was only because that was a standard she set for us. We had to be her polished little children who never did anything wrong, who she could brag about and show off. I can't just forget that because she's dead. Gosh, she made my life a living hell sometimes.
Well, moms do that, and you don't see people bashing them at their funerals.
Well, maybe they should. And not bash, just be more honest.
You shouldn't speak ill of the dead.
Oh, that's bullshit. Yeah, I'm not going to go make fun of her terrible casseroles in the freezers, but I'm not going to let her off the hook for the awful things she did. You were always her favorite. She always went easy on you. True golden boy.
Why are you even here? I mean, you really traveled all this way to attend the funeral just to be negative?
I am not here for her. I am here for me. This is the only funeral that'll ever happen for her. I'd rather be here and be negative than not be here and have it weigh on me later. It's the only, even if it's partial, closure I'll get for our fucked up parents.
No, don't bring Dad into this.
Why not?
I mean, you have to. You have to understand why he left.
Oh, I understand it. I don't blame him either. But signing away his rights, not a divorce, not limited custody, not even child support payments, was here one day and gone the next. I mean, maybe he never even really wanted to be a dad, and he saw this as what it was, his chance to get out. But I really thought he loved me. And that he would try to stay in touch with his children. You know, Barbara and I remember him. We still do. It wasn't like it was for you when he was just a name with no face because you were too young. I knew him. I loved him. And I thought he loved us too. His face would light up whenever Barb and I would run to greet him at the door when he came home from work. He'd twirl us around, and we lost all of that. All because of her.
Her as a mom or her
Yeah,
as...
Mom, I guess. I can't blame Joe. Even though, no, it was Mom. It was her only thinking about herself.
I think maybe she got tired. Tired thinking of us all the time. It must have been hard having 4 young kids and a husband away all day. I don't really remember him, but from what I've heard, our dad wasn't the warmest guy. I think Mom didn't know how to save herself, maybe? Keep a piece of herself for her. Look, she gave all of herself to us and Dad, even if it hurt, and she forgot herself in the process. And then she met him, and she remembered herself again. It all came flooding back, and she couldn't control it. That feeling of knowing who you are again when you can't remember the last time you cared for yourself. And it overpowered her. I mean, she regretted it, you know? Again, I'm not saying she was right. Yeah, she could be selfish and judgy. Maybe even a bit mean.
A bit.
But at the end of the day, she cared about us. And she spent so much of her caring about us when she was young that the scale tipped back too far the other way when she was older. You're allowed to grieve however you want. But don't make this funeral about you. It's about her life, her accomplishments, not her shortcomings.
We'll just have to write our speeches, won't we?
I don't think.
We shook hands on it.
God, you're like her, you know? She would think that what you're trying to do is absolutely disgraceful.
Well, at least I'm not still trying to please a woman who's dead.
Scott and Robin stare at each other. Blackout. Act 1, Scene 7. Immediately after. Lights up on Jo sitting on the couch upstairs. She grabs a piece of candy from the clear dish, unwraps it, and puts it in her mouth. Then makes a disgusted face and spits the candy out into the wrapper. She holds it in her hand and looks around the room.
I need someone to start a trend where it's fashionable to have a trash can in every room of the house.
She stands and starts to exit in the direction of the kitchen. The front door opens and Joyce enters. She crosses into the living room.
Jo?
Jo turns to face Joyce, a little frazzled. She shoves the candy and wrapper into her back pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Were you?
No, it's
doing
okay. I was
something?
How's Barb?
She's okay. Better. Why don't you want to give the eulogy? Mom liked you. Youngest child perks.
I don't want to deal with Scott and Rob. Just gang up on me. And Barb wouldn't like it either.
You think she's always had it out for you?
She has. She does. You all do. Why don't you want to?
To quote the woman of the hour herself, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all.
You and the rest of them are all filled with resentment. She really wasn't that bad. Yeah, she was flawed, but like, I can make fun of her and stuff because deep down, I know I don't mean it. But when other people try to attack her, even other kids, it just feels wrong. Who do you want to give the eulogy?
I don't. I'm staying out of it, and you should be too.
Whatever. I know you're secretly rooting for someone.
I think Barb should give it.
She doesn't want to, though. Scott or Robin?
You can be so pushy sometimes.
I don't know why you just wouldn't tell me.
And why can't I just keep it to myself? Why do you have to always take everything?
What?
You know, I used to want to go by Jo. Joyce is too long, and I never liked Joy as a nickname. Too much pressure. I would just shudder at the thought of someone saying, "Oh, your name is Joy? Bet you're always happy." I mean, no one really says that, but I didn't want to run the risk. I mean, some people hint at it with Joyce, but It's never as direct. Joe is understated, but pretty.
Thanks.
Then you came along, and that was the first thing you called yourself. Joe, Joe. You could barely pronounce it, but everyone knew what you were getting at. And Mom hated it. I mean, hated it. Did she ever tell you that? You'd say Joe, and she'd look at you sternly and go, Joanna, Joanna, thinking you'd magically say all 3 syllables perfectly, but you didn't. And she tried, probably for months, but it didn't work. We all started calling you Joe. It just caught on, and you've been Joe ever since. I hadn't told anyone I wanted to go by Joe, except Barb. See, Mom hated nicknames in general. Barb started going by Barb at a young age, and whenever Mom would brush and braid my and Robin's hair, she would always tell us, I named you Joyce and Robin for a reason. I named Barbara Barbara for a reason, and Scott too. Don't go and change that name. I gave it to you, and it's much prettier than whatever nickname you could come up with. She wasn't very subtle. And Barb, being the oldest, well, she had tough skin and didn't care what Mom said. But I did. So even though I wanted to be Joe, I never told her. But I told Barb, and she liked it. At this point, you were just a baby, so we weren't thinking of you. We just thought you'd be Joanna. I was working up the courage to tell Mom for months, maybe longer. It was ridiculous, really. But I just couldn't seem to do it. I didn't want to disappoint her. And then you became Joe. I remember the first time you said it, everyone except Mom thought it was so cute. And I think even Mom's heart softened a little, but Barb gave me this look. It was almost nothing, just so quick. Almost like we were at a wedding and they were calling for objections. Speak now or forever hold your peace and all that. Her glance told me that I could say something right then. Ruin the moment. Make Mom think I'm disgracing the family. The name she gave me, be a bratty older sister. But at the end of the day, after all the dust had settled, I would be Joe and you would be Joanna.
Joe hugs her. Joyce cries a bit into Joe's shoulder. Joyce breaks away.
Sorry.
Don't be. Know what I'm going to call you now?
What?
Joe 2.0.
Joyce laughs and gives Joe a short hug.
God, please don't. That's a terrible nickname.
Joe laughs. She walks over to the couch and sit, then pats the other side of the couch, gesturing for Joyce to sit. Joyce crosses and sits on the couch.
Barb still hasn't come back in.
Give her some time.
It's been a while.
Maybe she had to take a call. Maybe she went for a drive to clear her head. Or maybe something I said to her just made everything a million times worse and she needed to bawl her eyes out some more.
I doubt that. You two have always been close. You get each other. No one could be there for her in the way you could.
Scott and Robin were like that too, once upon a time.
Seems to me they always fought.
They did. Like in the writing competition, the spelling bee, the stupid science fair. Remember? Robin made that volcano, but the explosion didn't go as planned, and she ruined her nice floral dress. And then Scott won with his moldy bread project.
God, don't remind me.
And then college. God, don't get me started on college. They were both brats fighting to get into Ivies. And then Scott totally made fun of Robin when she didn't. But lo and behold, he didn't get into any either. Serves him right. It could be hard to be in the middle of all that.
They still had each other. I was the odd one out. Maybe that's good in a way. Rob and Scott went from being two peas in a pod to hating each other's guts. I wouldn't want that. And it didn't help that some people in our family didn't exactly discourage resentful and childish behavior.
Me? Where do we go from here?
We start loading up these boxes.
And where are we going to take them?
Goodwill. Just don't let anything you want find its way into one of them. I wish we could burn this place to the ground.
What?
No, it isn't worth it. cleaning out years and years of items that no one wants. It'll take us forever. And the longer we occupy this place, the longer we have to pay Mom's mortgage.
You just don't want to see it empty.
Mom was dramatic. She would have liked to see the material things she left behind go up in flames.
Well, that's a felony, so maybe not the best idea. Does your dad know?
What?
Does he know?
I don't know him.
I thought maybe you'd found him after you left home.
No, I don't have a dad. I never have, and that's fine. Sometimes it's better not to know, yeah? Anything I want to blame on him, I can. Strawberries make my teeth hurt. That didn't happen to Mom. It must be from him. Or I have knee problems. Mom didn't, so it was him. He doesn't want to know me. And I'm not really exceptional enough to have one of those grand moments like in the movie when I meet him and say, see, I'm a published best-selling author. Or guess what? Your daughter's a CEO or a Broadway star or someone revered in her community or even just someone who's met a bunch of famous people you'd always want to meet. None of those things. I am exceedingly average. And that isn't something I'm going out of my way to tell a stranger. Oh shit, I did something wrong.
No, you didn't.
You reached out to your dad, didn't you?
Maybe.
When?
A while ago. Years. Never met in person. I messaged him when I heard the news. He was the first person I told. What a shit thing to do. Why was he the first person I thought of? I told him. He read the message. Didn't respond. They were married for what, 10 years? And he doesn't feel anything? I almost feel bad for her, Mom. She deserved to be loved.
Moment of silence. Joe and Joyce sit together. Scott enters and clears his throat.
Hey, Joyce. Joe.
Yeah?
I think Robin might need some help down in the garage.
Oh, okay. Did she ask for me or?
Just go help her out.
Joe, still very confused, stands and starts to exit. Joyce starts to follow her.
I can help too.
Oh, no, actually, I was hoping we could work on something together. Go on, Joe.
Joyce nods at Joe. Joe exits. Joyce sits back down on the couch. Scott finally chooses somewhere to sit, awkwardly patting his knees. He pulls out his phone.
What is it?
What?
The chore or whatever.
Oh, I was hoping you could listen to my eulogy and...
I don't want to do that.
What?
I don't want to be caught in the middle of everything.
But Robin has...
Scott, stop.
I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah. Sorry. It's just...
No, I don't want to hear it. Sorry. That was harsh. I've just heard it all from Robin already, so...
I didn't owe it to you to stay.
What?
I know that's what you're going to ask eventually. About Arizona. You always do this. You pretend to be innocently asking about my life, but soon the conversation just becomes about how Arizona is too dry, too hot, how the kids would like it more north, how Gloria and I would fit in more with the people here. I needed to leave. And I'm happy. I like it. I really do. The weather suits me much more.
Family is here.
That's not true.
I'm not talking about Gloria or her siblings.
They're my family too.
It isn't the same.
Just because you never clicked with Denise's family doesn't mean no one else can do that with their in-laws.
It's like you just threw us away.
What do you mean, Scott?
The move, changing your last name.
Not this again.
You didn't have to. Or Gloria could have taken ours.
Have you ever considered that she might not want to be a Bushwick? What?
Just different. Something about you is off, and I don't know how long it's been that way. Maybe I just couldn't tell over the phone. Or is it Mom?
Not everything about me has to do with Mom. I hate that you think that.
Well, you're being more honest.
And
But when did this happen?
we were never super close, Scott. Maybe you just didn't know.
You used to be so quiet.
Do you miss that?
No, it's just a change.
Do you feel like a weight has lifted
What?
now that she's not here?
I
Like, I can remember her and cherish her, but more importantly, I can craft her in my mind, manipulate my memories to make her the mother I wish she was.
She was always supportive of you, of the whole thing.
You can say gay. And I'm not talking about that. That's not all our relationship was. I can have problems with her that don't boil down to my sexuality. Yes, she was supportive when I was the good child with the good grades, when I got a good job and lived close to home. She just wanted to mold me into the perfect daughter because she knew her chance with Barb had already passed, and I let her. I just needed to leave. I needed to figure out who I was.
Because you were questioning.
No! I came out before I left. Mom knew. She was supportive. I mean, we didn't talk about it ever, but she was. That was one of the things that actually brought us closer together. This isn't about Gloria. This is about wanting to get out of the environment that fucked me up in a lot of ways.
Is that why you didn't help her more? Like, as payback?
What are you talking about?
You seem to be very well off now.
And?
Well, Gloria comes from a lot of money.
Scott.
Mom had nothing but this house. She couldn't have afforded a nursing home. I mean, thank God she refused to go to one. Even if being here was too much, you could have helped financially.
She never asked.
But you know that she would have never even considered that.
Then why didn't you?
What, do you think that you're better than us now? Better than a duplex and leftover casseroles and canned vegetables?
Of course I don't think that.
When Barb said you were visiting friends before you even came here to see us.
I needed to see people who would be happy to see me.
We're your family. We're happy to see you.
I just knew that doing everything would be stressful, and I wanted a few hours without that.
This is going to be stressful, but you have to deal with that. You can't just run away like you always run away.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not as agreeable as you remember me to be. I think that died off with Mom.
Scott opens his mouth to say something, but Joyce looks at him and he stops. Mini stare off. Scott shakes his head and exits as Barb enters with a box.
What?
Don't worry about it. Sorry, I wasn't working. But I made a lot of progress earlier in Joe and Rob's room. I think there's a couple more boxes to go through and some floor space to clean, but it'll look relatively presentable soon.
That's good.
We're making progress, Barb. You're doing a good job. Want help?
That would be great.
Barb and Joyce sit on the couch.
We can put the important stuff on the table and the junk.
There's a roll of trash bags around here somewhere.
Barb looks for it and finds it. She tears a new bag off the roll.
Perfect.
Barb sits down again and they begin to sort. Several moments pass. Joyce shows Barb a piece of paper.
Is this worth saving?
Barb shakes her head. Joyce puts it in the bag. They continue sorting. Several moments.
Look at this.
Barb shows Joyce a frayed piece of art with little handprints on it.
Looks like you made this in kindergarten.
Joyce takes the art and looks at it.
The hands are so little.
You were always tiny for your age.
Joyce starts to tear up. She cries a bit before Barb awkwardly puts her arm around her. Joyce continues to cry.
It'll get better.
That's a bad thing to say.
I know. I'm sorry.
I don't think there's a right thing to say either, though.
I know you might not have talked much recently. And also, she would have never actually told you this, but I think she's really proud of how you've grown into yourself, even if sometimes it made your relationship harder.
Joyce nods. She continues to cry. After a moment, they hear Robin's voice.
Scott, Joyce, everyone, I'm calling a family meeting. Kitchen, now.
Oh, God, what are we going to have to deal with now?
Joyce gives a small laugh. Barb smiles a bit. Blackout. Act 1, Scene 8. Soon after, in the kitchen, Joe, Joyce, Scott, and Robin are sitting at the table. Barb is pacing behind them on the phone.
Really? This was the best compromise you two came up with? A fucking competition like some middle school spelling bee?
Actually, it's not like a spelling bee. Those are rather straightforward. Either you spell the word right or you don't. With this, we're asking for your opinion, like a spelling bee where the judge makes up a word and contestants have to come up with the most logical way to spell
Okay,
it.
shut up. It was an analogy.
A shitty one.
That's really not the point.
You two were down there for so long and barely got anything done.
You would have been able to do it.
Was this what you were doing? Coming up with a little game, a little competition?
You two are completely and utterly immature. Read the room. You're fighting over her.
Yeah, I don't think she'd mind.
Oh, what a surprise. Scott thinks he can speak for everyone.
Okay, you're one to talk. There was another thing we disagreed on.
Scott.
Robin has this cute little idea in her head. Can you get off the phone? Well, Barb will love to hearing this.
We agreed that we were just going to write the speeches.
They obviously don't like that idea. Look, tell them what you want to write.
We agreed not to do this.
What was so dire that you needed me right this very moment?
Robin's trying to make Mom's funeral all about her.
But that is not true.
She wants to write a more derogatory speech, more realistic, she's calling it.
Oh, and you're saying your speech isn't going to be realistic?
You two are making a much bigger deal about this than you need to. Barely anyone is going to be there.
Are we almost done with the cleaning?
Yeah, what's next?
We take what we want, sell or donate the rest. And then she's gone. For real. Robin is 100% right. She was messy, and I honestly don't think she deserves all the work that I'm putting into this. But this funeral will be something people, even if it's just us, remember, we can't stoop to her level. We can't make this passive aggressive and shitty and all about us. We're going to do this how she would have liked. Scott will give the speech. That's the end of that.
Scott can't help but smile. Robin looks slightly shocked. Joe and Joyce both look down at the table. Barb surveys all of them and heads to the door. She grabs her purse and exits.
It's probably for the best, but I don't blame you, Robin.
I need to start being more honest.
Yeah, and more forgiving, maybe.
Joyce subtly slaps Scott's arm.
Yeah, that too.
Robin looks at Joe and begins to cry. There is a long moment of silence. Joyce rubs her back. Joe rubs her back. Joyce puts her head on her shoulder, and Scott reaches his hand across the table and places it on top of one of hers. They sit there, in silence, connected by their grief. Robin closes her eyes and cries silently. The others pretend not to notice. Eventually, Robin opens her eyes. She looks at her siblings.
I know what we need to do.
Blackout. Act 1, Scene 9. Soon after, the basement. Lights up on Joe, Scott, and Robin standing in silence. Joyce and Barb enter the basement.
Another fucking family meeting already? I thought you all be sick of each other by now.
Oh, we are.
But we're still siblings.
So we're going to have a little private ceremony right here, right now. Come on.
Scott grabs the doll that Robin was handling earlier. The siblings stand in a semicircle, open to the audience. Scott hands the doll to Robin.
Thanks. You were an emotional person. I've never known anyone more proud of me in some moments and more angry and disappointed in others. You played favorites. You tried to turn us against each other. I think because you wanted all of us just to yourself. You needed people to hold on to, real, living, breathing people who you could tear down one day and build up the next. And that's what you did.
Robin passes the doll to Scott.
You rub off on us. Some good qualities, some bad. Maybe I built you up so much and that made you go easy on me. So I never really stood up to you. And I should have.
Scott passes the doll to Barb. She's a bit confused, but goes with it.
I don't. We're all catty. And we all love gossip. And fighting. We pick fights. We got that from you. You never discouraged it. You fed off of it.
Barb hands the doll to Joyce.
You made me think that I couldn't live my life without you to lean on, that I was a dependent person with no strength of my own. Sometimes, looking back at least, it's like you scolded me into submission. But I proved it. I proved I could live away, far away from you and your manipulation.
Joyce passes the doll to Joe.
You kept me. For that, I'll always be grateful. You had a sense of commitment and strength. You never stopped fighting in more ways than one. And I love you. But you weren't perfect. You left scars and bruises and tears that we carried when you were still with us, and that won't go away, even now.
The siblings nod to show agreement. Joe passes the doll back to Robin.
Next time we speak about you, it will be good things. Sweet, warm memories, love and support and grace. And we do love you. We all love you so much. So much that it hurts. But don't think we've forgotten the bad days, the ruthless words, the betrayal and hurt and devastation you were capable of causing, that you did cause.
Maybe one of us has the most accurate representation of you.
They're probably all equally flawed.
We can fight all we want about what you were truly like. We can prove that our version of you is the truest, that our perception of your good versus evil ratio is right.
But none of us will ever know the objective truth.
We can't escape our grief, just like we couldn't escape you.
We all saw you differently.
We'll all remember you differently.
And we'll all grieve you differently.
The funeral will be for you.
But today is for us.
looking at her siblings and raising the doll.
To all our versions of you. Goodbye, Mom.
Goodbye.
Robin drops the fragile doll hard onto the bare floor. It shatters. Blackout. End of play.
Thank you all for joining us for the final live workshop reading of Mama Bushwick Is Dead by Elizabeth Shannon Ellis. I would like to also thank our amazing actors, Lindsay Williams, Ariana Almajan, Elle Sullivan, Felipe Cabezas, Karen Novak, and Fatima Kwander. Much gratitude for YPT production associate Keita Newborn for running this live performance so smoothly, and to YPT communications manager Cody Bond for holding it down in the live chat. And most importantly, I'd like to thank our playwright, Elizabeth Shannon, for her dedication to this script development process. We would love to hear your feedback and reactions to this workshop reading. If you'd like to provide some, please see the description below for the link to our feedback form, or you can make a comment right here on YouTube. For those of you who are joining our private feedback session in Zoom, we will now be starting at 7:55 p.m. to allow the actors a brief break. Lastly, if you would like to support the work of Young Playwrights Theater by donating to our fall campaign, or if you'd like to learn how to become the next Young Playwright in Progress, please visit our website at www.yptdc.org, or you can follow us on social media at YPTDC. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.